My golden brother moved his pregnant girlfriend into my house while I was on vacation. My parents called me heartless for wanting them out. I evicted them and had him arrested for breaking in. Hey Reddit. So my brother decided to move his pregnant girlfriend into my house while I was out of town. No permission asked, no heads up, nothing. Just straight up helped himself to my property like it was an all-you-can-squat buffet. When I told him to get out, my parents called me heartless. When he tried breaking in later, I had him arrested. Buckle up because this family drama is about to get wild. I'm 28, work in commercial real estate sales, and I've been financially independent since I was 19. My younger brother Ethan is 26, works part-time at a vape shop when he feels like showing up, and has been financially dependent on our parents since forever. The difference between us isn't just our work ethic, though. It's how our parents have treated us our entire lives. Before I get into the main story, you need to understand the family dynamic I grew up with because context matters here. The golden child favoritism in my house wasn't subtle. It was so blatant that teachers, neighbors, and extended family all noticed it. When I was 8 years old, I saved up my allowance for months to buy this remote control helicopter I'd been wanting. Finally got it. Played with it for maybe 2 days before Ethan broke it. He was 5, grabbed it off my desk, and crashed it into the garage door. Thing shattered. When I got upset, my parents told me accidents happen and that I needed to learn to share. No replacement, no consequences for Ethan. That same year, Ethan wanted this expensive Lego set. My parents bought it immediately. When he lost half the pieces within a week, they bought him another one. Different rules for different kids. Middle school was more of the same. I got straight A's and got a good job at dinner. Ethan brought home 3 C's, 2 D's, and a B- in gym, and my parents took him to his favorite restaurant to celebrate how hard he tried. High school amplified everything. I joined debate team, worked at a restaurant, and maintained a 3.9 GPA. Ethan barely graduated with a 2.1. When I graduated, my parents said parties were too expensive. 3 years later, Ethan's graduation had catered dinner, a DJ, and 80 people in our backyard. My mom said, "Your brother needs more encouragement than you did." When I was 16, I wanted a car. My parents told me to save up myself because learning responsibility builds character. I worked at a restaurant washing dishes, lived off ramen, and saved every penny for 2 years. Finally bought a beat-up Honda Civic with 180,000 miles. That car burned oil and had no AC, but it was mine because I earned it. When Ethan turned 16 3 years later, he mentioned wanting a car once at dinner. 2 weeks later, my parents bought him a 3-year-old Camry with 30,000 miles. Their explanation? Your brother isn't as capable as you. He needs more support. Within 6 months, Ethan had 3 speeding tickets and a fender bender. My parents paid for everything. College was the same pattern. I went to community college, then transferred to state school, because that's what I could afford while working night shifts at a grocery store. Graduated with a business degree and $12,000 in loans. Ethan went to an expensive private college at $50,000 per year. My parents paid for everything. Tuition, apartment, credit card, spending money. Took him 6 years, changed majors 4 times, and ended up with a general studies degree. When I questioned the unfairness, my dad said, "You turned out fine on your own, so our approach worked." The favoritism was so obvious that even extended family members would comment on it. My aunt once asked my mom point blank why Ethan got so much more support than I ever did. My mom's response was that I was naturally self-sufficient and didn't need as much help. What she really meant was that I learned early on that I couldn't count on them, so I figured out how to handle things myself. The favoritism was so obvious that even extended family commented on it. My aunt asked my mom why Ethan got more support. My mom said I was naturally self-sufficient. Translation? They could neglect me guilt-free. I never asked my parents for help after turning 19. Worked full-time through college, graduated at 22, got my real estate license, and started making decent money by 25. Bought my first rental property at 26, with money I'd saved living cheap. By 27, I'd saved enough for my own house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, nice neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. That house represented everything I'd accomplished without their help. 20% down payment to avoid PMI, comfortable mortgage. The day I got those keys was my proudest moment. I called my parents about the house. Mom said, "That's nice, dear. Your brother got promoted to shift supervisor." His promotion was at a pizza place with a 25-cent raise. I'd made the biggest purchase of my life, and she redirected to Ethan within seconds. Ethan was living in their basement at 26. Never paid rent, never had a lease in his name, never budgeted for utilities. My parents covered everything while he worked 20 hours weekly at a vape shop. They'd complain he'd never move out while doing his laundry and handing him money. I kept my distance. Showed up for major holidays out of obligation. Otherwise lived my own life. Built my career, invested in properties, had my own friends. Created a life I was proud of separate from them. 6 months ago, Ethan started dating Jess. She was 24, worked at a salon doing nails. Met her twice, seemed nice. Then after 3 months of dating, Ethan announced she was pregnant. When Ethan announced the pregnancy at dinner, my parents were thrilled. Absolutely over the moon. My mom started crying happy tears and hugging Jess. My dad shook Ethan's hand like he'd won the Nobel Prize. They immediately started talking about becoming grandparents, asking about due dates, discussing baby names. Nobody seemed concerned that Ethan had no stable job, no savings, and still lived in their basement. But sure, let's celebrate. My mom started buying baby stuff immediately. Within 2 weeks, my parents' basement looked like a baby store exploded. She'd send photos to the family group chat constantly. Look at this adorable elephant mobile. Or isn't this bassinet precious? Meanwhile, I'm thinking about who's actually going to pay for this kid's life. My dad started planning to convert part of the basement into a nursery. Started researching childcare costs and insurance plans. They were basically preparing to raise this kid themselves because Ethan and Jess clearly weren't equipped. I stayed out of it. Not my business. I had my own life, my own career, my own responsibilities. Their chaos didn't need to become my problem, but I should have seen the warning signs. Should have realized my parents would eventually try to pull me into fixing Ethan's mess. About 4 months into the pregnancy, Jess's parents kicked her out. The whole religious disapproval thing escalated. They told her she was an embarrassment and needed to leave. She moved into my parents' basement with Ethan. Now my parents had their 26-year-old son, his pregnant girlfriend, and an impending baby all under one roof. The basement was getting cramped. My mom started complaining about lack of space. I'd listen politely and think, "You enabled this, so deal with it." Flash forward to 2 months ago. I had this major work trip scheduled to Seattle for 8 days. One of my biggest potential clients was based there, a development company looking to invest in commercial properties across the Midwest. Multi-million-dollar deals. This trip had been on my calendar for 3 months, with multiple meetings scheduled, site visits planned, the whole production. Potentially career-defining stuff. I spent 2 weeks preparing, created detailed presentations, researched comparable properties, built financial models. This client could set me up for years if I landed them. Before leaving, I did my usual travel routine. Asked my neighbor Bill to grab my mail and keep an eye on things. Bill's retired, lives 3 houses down, former accountant, the kind of neighbor everyone wants. Set my lights on timers, made sure bills were on autopay, set my Ring doorbell to send notifications. Standard procedure. Here's my mistake. I have a spare key at my parents' place. It's been there since I bought the house for emergencies only. Like if there's a pipe burst while I'm gone, they can let emergency services in. Never had a problem with it in 2 years. That spare key became the source of all this mess. I should have seen this coming. Should have realized that emergency access meant they could give Ethan access. But I trusted them not to cross that line. I flew out Sunday afternoon. Direct flight. Got in around 6 p.m. Checked into my hotel downtown, reviewed notes, went to bed early. First meeting was Monday at 9 a.m. The week went incredibly well work-wise. Monday's initial meeting went great. Client loved my research. Tuesday, I did site visits to 3 properties they were considering. Wednesday was financial modeling reviews. Thursday, we had lunch with their full investment team, and I presented my comprehensive proposal. Friday was follow-up discussions and contract negotiations. By Friday afternoon, I was 90% sure I'd landed them, a deal that would triple my commission income for the year. I was so focused on work I barely checked my phone except for client communications. When you're trying to close a deal this big, everything else fades. I'd glance at my Ring doorbell notifications occasionally and see normal stuff. Delivery trucks, neighbor kids, Bill checking my mailbox. Nothing concerning. Friday evening around 8 p.m., my phone rang. Bill. The second I saw his name, my stomach dropped. Bill never called unless something was wrong. "Hey man, hope I'm not interrupting your trip." "No, it's fine. What's going on?" "I grabbed your mail like you asked, but I wanted to check something. There are cars in your driveway, parked there, and I've seen people going in and out of your house the last few days. Figured maybe you had family staying there and forgot to mention it?" My brain completely stopped. People. In my house. Going in and out. "Bill, nobody is supposed to be at my house. Nobody has permission to be there." Silence for a few seconds. "Well, there's definitely people there. I saw a young couple unloading stuff from a U-Haul on Tuesday. Moving boxes, furniture, all kinds of things. I almost came over to say hi, but then figured I should check with you first. Tuesday. They'd moved in Tuesday. I'd been gone since Sunday. Within 48 hours of me leaving, someone moved into my house. Can you see them right now? Are they there? Let me look. I heard Bill walking, probably to his front window. Yeah, there's a car in your driveway. Lights are on in your house. Looks like someone's home. I opened my Ring doorbell app right there in the hotel lobby where I'd stopped to take this call. Started scrolling through the notifications I'd been ignoring all week. Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., my front door opens. The video shows it clear as day. There's Ethan, big smile on his face, spare key in his hand like he owned the place. Behind him is Jess, visibly pregnant in a maternity top, carrying shopping bags. Both of them acting like this was completely normal. I scrolled through more videos, my anger building with each new clip. 11:52 a.m. Ethan's making another trip with a box labeled kitchen stuff. 12:15 p.m. Jess is carrying in what looks like clothes on hangers. 12:43 p.m. Both of them dragging in a mattress. 1:30 p.m. Ethan's coming back with more boxes. 2:15 p.m. They're unloading what appears to be baby furniture from the U-Haul. This wasn't them stopping by or checking on the house. This was a full coordinated move. They'd rented a U-Haul, packed up their stuff, and moved into my house like they'd planned this for weeks. The level of premeditation made it so much worse. I told Bill I'd call him back and hung up. Stood there in that hotel lobby, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. All week I'd been working my tail off, closing this huge deal, building my career, and meanwhile my brother was stealing my house. Not borrowing it, not asking to stay there temporarily. Stealing it. My hands were shaking when I called Ethan. It rang 4 times before he answered all casual, like nothing was wrong. Hey bro, what's up? How's Seattle? What's up? What's up? Why are you in my house? He didn't even hesitate. Didn't apologize or sound caught. Just launched into his explanation like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. Oh yeah, meant to text you about that. Things got crazy over here. Jess's parents kicked her out last week. The whole religious thing really escalated. They told her she was an embarrassment to the family and that she needed to leave immediately. It was pretty brutal, man. She was crying. They wouldn't even let her take half her stuff. Just threw her out. Super messed up situation. Okay, and how does that lead to you being in my house? Well, Mom and Dad's basement is getting really crowded with all the baby stuff. There's barely room to walk down there anymore. And Jess has been stressed, which isn't good for the baby. The doctor said she needs to avoid stress as much as possible. So we figured we'd crash at your place for a bit since you travel for work so much. You weren't using the space anyway. It's actually perfect timing because you're gone and we needed somewhere quiet. Plus, your place is bigger than Mom and Dad's basement, and Jess can actually set up the nursery properly. Win-win situation, right? I took a deep breath. Tried to stay calm even though I wanted to reach through the phone and shake some sense into him. Ethan, that's my house. You can't just move into someone's house without permission. Did it occur to you to maybe call me and ask first? Dude, relax. It's not that big of a deal. We'll take care of the place. Actually, we already mowed your lawn because it was getting kinda long, and Jess cleaned your bathrooms. They were pretty gross, man. When's the last time you scrubbed your shower? We're being good tenants here. Tenants. He called them tenants. Like this was some official arrangement instead of breaking and entering. You need to leave. Today. Right now. He laughed. Actually laughed at me. Dude, Jess is 7 months pregnant. She's huge. We can't just pack everything up and move again. That's dangerous for her and the baby. The doctor specifically said she shouldn't be doing heavy lifting or getting too stressed. You want us to risk her going into early labor? That's on you then. Besides, we just got settled in. I already changed my address with the post office, so my mail comes here now. Set up bill payments to your address. The whole thing. Just let us stay until we figure something else out. You're being unreasonable. How long is until you figure something else out? I don't know, man. Maybe a few months after the baby's born? We need time to save up first and last month's rent for our own place. That takes a while, especially with baby expenses coming. You know how it is. Actually, you probably don't know how it is because you don't have kids. But trust me, it's expensive. We're trying to be responsible and save money before we move out on our own. A few months after the baby's born? Ethan, that's like 6 months minimum. You think you can just squat in my house for 6 months? It's not squatting. We're family. And yeah, probably around 6 months. Maybe 8 to be safe. Babies are expensive and we want to have a cushion saved up. Mom said you'd understand because family helps family. That's what she always says. I felt my blood pressure rising. I want you out by tomorrow. I get home Sunday night. If you're not gone when I arrive, I'm calling the police. His tone changed then. Got defensive. Whatever, man. You need to talk to mom and dad about this. They're the ones who gave me the key and said it was fine. They said it was the Christian thing to do, helping out family in need. Take it up with them. This isn't just on me. They approved it. I don't care who approved it. It's my house, not theirs. Mine. You don't get to just... He cut me off. Look, I gotta go. Jess needs help with something. Talk to mom and dad. They'll tell you you're being unreasonable about this. Later, he hung up. I immediately called my parents. My mom answered. This conversation, I'll remember for the rest of my life. Hi, honey. How's Seattle? Did you give Ethan my spare key and tell him he could move into my house? Silence. Then, well, yes, but it's not what you think. Jess had nowhere to go and Ethan needed help. We figured you wouldn't mind since you have all that extra space and you're gone so much anyway. You figured I wouldn't mind? You didn't think to ask me first? Honestly, we didn't think you'd be so selfish about it. It's just temporary until they get on their feet. Jess is pregnant. What kind of person would you be to throw them out on the street? The kind of person who owns his own house and expects basic respect from his family? Mom, this is insane. You can't just give someone permission to live in a house you don't own. My dad got on the phone. Your mother's right. You're being selfish. Ethan needs support right now, and you have the means to help. That's what family does. We're very disappointed in your attitude. Disappointed in my attitude. These people gave away access to my house without asking, and they were disappointed in me. I want them out by tomorrow. I'm not negotiating this. My mom started crying. Please don't do this. Jess has been through so much already. Her family abandoned her. We're all she has. If you kick them out, they'll have nowhere to go. Can't you just let them stay until the baby comes? Then they'll figure something out. Please, we're asking you as your parents to show some compassion here. This is what Jesus would do. No, they need to leave. My dad's voice went cold. If you do this, you're showing everyone what kind of man you really are. The kind who values property over family? We thought we raised you better than that. Your brother is in a vulnerable position, and you're just going to turn your back on him? That says everything about your character. My house, my rules. They leave tomorrow, or I call the cops. They hung up on me. I sat in that hotel lobby, trying to process what had just happened. My brother had essentially stolen my house with my parents' help, and now I was the bad guy for wanting my own home back. I immediately called a locksmith company in Columbus and scheduled them for 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Explained the situation, said it was an emergency. They charged extra for weekend service, but I didn't care. Paid over the phone. Then I called Ethan back and left a voicemail since he didn't answer. Told him a locksmith would be there at 9 a.m. to change all the locks. Told him if he wasn't gone by then, anything left inside would be placed on the curb, and he could sort through it there. Then I called Bill back. Asked if he could be present during the lock change to witness everything. Bill agreed immediately. Said he'd take photos and videos of the whole process just in case things got messy. Good man. Next, I booked an early flight home for Saturday morning instead of Sunday evening. If they were going to play games, I wanted to be there in person to make sure my house wasn't trashed on their way out. Changed my flight online, packed my bags that night, barely slept. Ethan called me back around midnight. You're seriously going to change the locks? Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. You created this situation. Figure it out. Jess is pregnant. She can't be moving heavy boxes and sleeping on someone's couch. Have some humanity. I have plenty of humanity. What I don't have is patience for people who steal my house. You never asked permission. You just took what you wanted because that's what you've always done. Mom and dad have enabled you your whole life. That ends now. I'm not them. This is unbelievable. You know what? Fine. We'll leave. But don't come crying to us when you need family support someday. Don't expect to be part of this kid's life. Don't expect invites to holidays. You're choosing property over your own nephew or niece. Hope it's worth it. It's my house, not property. My house. And yeah, it's absolutely worth keeping people out who don't respect basic boundaries. He hung up again. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from my mom, my dad, even my aunt who somehow heard about this within minutes. All of them calling me heartless, selfish, cruel. My mom sent me a paragraph about how Jess was sobbing uncontrollably, and Ethan was so stressed that it wasn't healthy for the baby. How could I do this to them? Didn't I care about family? What would people think of me? I ignored all of it, turned my phone on Do Not Disturb, and tried to get a few hours of sleep before my flight. I landed Saturday around noon after catching the earliest flight I could get. The flight felt like it took forever. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept checking my phone, half expecting more drama from my family. Nothing new, though. They'd said their piece. Now it was time for me to enforce my boundaries. Drove straight home from the airport. Bill was already there in his driveway, just keeping an eye out like I'd asked. When I pulled up, he walked over. "They've been loading stuff all morning," he said. "U-Haul's been parked there since about 7 a.m. Your brother's been carrying boxes out looking pretty upset about it all. The girlfriend's been crying. It's been quite a scene." I thanked Bill and walked up to my house. The U-Haul was indeed parked in my driveway. Ethan and Jess were loading boxes into it, both looking miserable. When Ethan saw me pull up, he shot me the dirtiest look I've ever seen, like pure hatred. Jess just looked sad and kept her head down. I didn't say anything, just unlocked my front door with my key and walked through my house to survey what they'd done. Needed to see the damage before they left completely. They'd fully moved into the master bedroom. Their clothes filled my closet. Their shoes all over my closet floor. Their toiletries covered my bathroom counter. Makeup, hair products, electric toothbrushes, all their personal stuff just everywhere like they owned the place. My bedroom smelled different, like someone else's perfume and deodorant. The bed had different sheets on it than the ones I'd left. They'd actually changed my sheets to their own. The second bedroom was partially set up as a nursery. Crib assembled in the corner. Changing table against the wall. Baby clothes hung up in the closet. A rocking chair by the window. They'd put up these nursery decals on the wall of little animals and clouds. Stick-on decorations that would probably leave residue when removed. They'd really committed to making this their space. The kitchen had their food everywhere. Different brands than I usually buy. Generic cereal instead of the name brand I prefer. Their milk in the fridge. Their condiments in the door. Coffee creamer I'd never buy. Snacks I've never seen before. It wasn't just that they'd added their stuff. They'd rearranged my stuff to make room for theirs. My spices were pushed to the back. My coffee mugs relocated to a different cabinet. The living room had their furniture mixed in with mine. This ugly brown couch that didn't match anything. Their TV stand with their PlayStation hooked up to my TV. Their blankets draped over my furniture. Picture frames of them sitting on my end tables. This wasn't them crashing for a few days. This was a full-scale takeover, with zero intention of leaving anytime soon. I stood in my living room, in my house that I'd worked so hard for, looking at someone else's life planted in the middle of it. The disrespect was breathtaking. They'd just moved in and made themselves at home like my years of work meant nothing. I walked through every room taking mental inventory. The bathroom had water damage around the tub from where they'd clearly overfilled it. The kitchen had a burn mark on the counter where someone had set down a hot pan. Minor damage, but still my property being damaged by people who had no right to be here. It took them about 4 hours to get everything loaded up and out. I watched from the kitchen window, making sure they didn't take anything that belonged to me. Had to stay vigilant because at this point I didn't trust them not to grab my stuff out of spite. Ethan kept shooting me looks through the window, probably hoping I'd come out and apologize or change my mind. Wasn't happening. Jess cried while loading boxes. I felt bad for her situation. She was pregnant and dealing with this mess, but not bad enough to let them stay. Being pregnant doesn't give you the right to steal someone's house. Around 4 p.m., Ethan knocked on the door one last time. I opened it, but didn't invite him in. Stood in the doorway blocking his view of my house. "We're done. Happy now? I'll be happy when you're gone and my locks are changed." "You know what? Mom was right about you. You've always been cold. Always thought you were better than everyone because you didn't need help. This just proves it. You're not family. You're just someone we happen to be related to. Don't ever contact us again. Don't ask about the baby. Don't show up at holidays. We're done with you. If respecting boundaries makes me cold, then yeah, I'm cold. Don't ever take my stuff without asking again. And I mean never. Next time there will be no warning, just police." They left. I waited until they were completely out of my driveway and down the street before I let myself relax even a little bit. Then I did a full walkthrough of my house again, this time really looking at everything. They'd left it relatively clean, surprisingly. A few scuffs on the walls where they'd moved furniture, but nothing major. The nursery room was completely bare now, which honestly was the saddest part. That room had potential for so many things, but they'd turned it into a reminder of family dysfunction. I spent the rest of the weekend deep cleaning everything. Changed my sheets, scrubbed the bathroom, scrubbed that burn mark off the counter, reorganized my kitchen exactly how I had it before. Needed to reclaim my space completely. It felt violated, having someone else living in it without permission. Every surface they'd touched needed to be cleaned. Took down those nursery decals. Most came off clean, but a few left sticky residue that I had to scrub with rubbing alcohol. Moved all my furniture back to exactly where it was before. Reorganized my closet. Put my coffee mugs back in the right cabinet. Every single thing needed to go back to how I had it. By Sunday evening, my house felt like mine again. Clean, organized, exactly how I wanted it. But I still felt on edge. Like they might come back any time. Monday morning, the locksmith came right at 9 a.m. as scheduled. Changed everything. Front door, back door, garage door. New keys, new deadbolts, new locks on everything. That spare key my parents had was now completely useless. Cost me $400, but worth every penny for peace of mind. I stood there watching the locksmith work, feeling this sense of relief wash over me. They couldn't get back in now. Even if they tried. Even if my parents gave them the old key again, it wouldn't work. My house was secure. My parents called that afternoon. My dad went off immediately before I could even say hello. The locks? Really? You changed the locks like we're criminals? Like we can't be trusted? You gave my spare key to someone without permission. What did you expect? That I just let you keep access after you violated my trust like that? We expected you to act like family. We expected you to have some compassion for your brother's situation. Instead, you threw your pregnant sister-in-law out on the street like she was trash. What kind of man does that? Stop calling her my sister-in-law. They've been dating for 6 months. And I didn't throw anyone out on the street. They moved into my house without asking. Huge difference. One is me defending my property. The other would be me being cruel. Learn the distinction. My mom got on the phone. She was crying. Again with the crying. Ethan and Jess are staying with us now. Our basement isn't set up for a baby. This is so stressful for everyone. The baby could come any day now, and we don't have room for all of them. If you could just let them stay in your house until they find something affordable, it would solve everything. You're there alone in that big house. They'd be helping you with utilities and everything. It's a win-win. No. The answer is no. This conversation is over. Fine. Don't expect us to be there for you when you need help someday. Don't expect birthday calls or Christmas cards. You've made your choice and we're making ours. I've never expected anything from you anyway. I learned that lesson a long time ago. I hung up. Blocked my parents' numbers for a while because I couldn't deal with the constant guilt tripping. Blocked Ethan too. Blocked my aunt's number when she started sending me guilt trip texts too. Needed complete space from all of them to process this and move on. 3 weeks went by. Quiet weeks. I worked, came home, enjoyed my house in peace, didn't hear from any family. Started thinking maybe this was the new normal. Then, one night around 10 p.m., I'm watching TV and hear someone trying to unlock my back door. Not knocking. Actively trying to use a key. My heart started pounding. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my Ring camera app. There's Ethan on my back porch, trying to jam the old spare key into the new lock. He's turning it, jiggling it, trying to force it, getting more aggressive with each failed attempt. Then he pulls the key out, examines it like maybe he grabbed the wrong one, tries again. Still doesn't work. He starts swearing under his breath. I can see his face on the camera, frustrated and determined. Then he tries the windows, starts at the window closest to the door, pulls on it, locked, moves to the next one, locked, goes down the line checking every single window on the back of my house. At one point, he tries to pry one open with his hands. When that doesn't work, he looks around my back porch like he's searching for something to use as leverage. This isn't someone trying to talk. This is someone trying to break in. I called 911. There's someone trying to break into my house right now. The dispatcher kept me on the phone. Are they still there? Can you describe them? It's my brother. He moved into my house without permission 3 weeks ago. I evicted him and changed the locks. Now he's back trying to get in. Stay inside and away from the doors and windows. Officers are on their way. I watched through the app. Ethan moved to the side of the house now, checking those windows. Then he came around to the front door. Tried the old key again. Same result. Key doesn't fit the new lock. He started banging on the door with his fist. I know you're in there. Open up. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Just kept watching through the camera and waiting for the police. My hands were shaking, but I stayed quiet. He banged harder. Come on, man. Just let me in. We need to figure this out. Jess just had the baby and we need help. Open the door. Still didn't respond. He tried the doorbell multiple times, then went back to banging. At one point, he kicked the door. I made sure the Ring recorded all of it. 2 officers showed up within 8 minutes. I watched them pull up, get out of their patrol car, approach Ethan on my porch. He was still banging on my door when they walked up behind him. Sir, step away from the door. Ethan jumped, spun around. Oh, thank God you're here. My brother locked me out. I need to get my stuff. Is this your residence? No, but it's my brother's house. I'm family. I was staying here and he locked me out while I was gone. That's illegal, right? He can't just lock me out. Do you have permission to be here tonight? I shouldn't need permission. He's my brother. I was living here. Does the homeowner want you here right now? Ethan hesitated. Look, we had a disagreement, but I just need to talk to him. If you could just get him to open the door. The officers walked up to my door. I opened it. Are you the homeowner? Yes, that's my brother. He moved into my house without permission 3 weeks ago while I was out of town. I had to evict him. Changed all the locks. Now he's back trying to break in. I've got video of everything on my Ring camera. One officer looked at Ethan. Sir, is what he's saying true? Did you move in without permission? Ethan's face changed. That's not... Look, it's complicated. He's my brother. Family doesn't need permission. And I didn't break in, I used a key. A key that doesn't work anymore because I changed the locks, I said. I've got footage of him trying to force windows open. Do you want him arrested? I looked at Ethan. He was staring at me with this mixture of anger and disbelief, like he couldn't believe I'd actually do this. Like being family meant he could do whatever he wanted and face zero consequences. Yes, I want him arrested. The officer nodded. Sir, turn around and place your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for attempted breaking and entering. Ethan's face went red. Are you serious right now? He's my brother. This is family business. You can't arrest me for trying to get into my brother's house. You don't have permission to be here. You attempted to gain entry to a residence that's not yours. That's attempted breaking and entering. Turn around. This is insane. My girlfriend just had a baby. We need help and he's doing this? What kind of person arrests their own brother? The officer reached for his cuffs. Sir, turn around now, or you'll also be charged with resisting. Ethan finally turned around. They cuffed him right there on my front porch. Read him his rights while he kept shouting about how unfair this was, and how I was ruining his life, and how could I do this when Jess was pregnant, and they had a newborn and needed help. The officers weren't interested in the drama. They just did their job. One of them asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said yes, asked if I needed to come to the station. They said no. They'd file the report, and someone would contact me. As they walked Ethan to the patrol car, he turned back to me. You're dead to me. You hear me? Dead. Don't ever contact me again. Don't try to meet my daughter. Don't show up at holidays. You're not family anymore. You're nothing. I watched them put him in the back seat. Watched the patrol car drive away with him inside. Stood on my porch in the night air for a few minutes, processing what just happened. Bill came over to give a statement. Told the police about the original unauthorized move-in. Confirmed he'd witnessed tonight's break-in attempt. Made the case airtight. My parents found out within hours. Mom called from a different number, hysterical. Ethan is in jail. They set his bail at $5,000. We had to pay a bondsman. You had your own brother arrested. He tried to break into my house. He was just trying to talk to you. So he committed a crime. That was his choice. This is going on his record. How is he supposed to support his family with a criminal record? Should have thought about that first. Dad grabbed the phone. You've crossed a line. Pressing charges against your own brother? We raised you better than this. No. You raised Ethan to believe rules don't apply to him. You raised me to rely on myself. You succeeded at both. Don't call here again. Don't come to family gatherings. Ethan's child will grow up knowing they have grandparents who love them and an uncle who abandoned them. Sounds good. I hung up. Block that number too. Haven't spoken to them since. Ethan went to court 2 months later. I showed up with all my Ring footage, Bill's statement, and my eviction documentation. The prosecutor said it was one of the clearest cases he'd handled. Ethan pled guilty to attempted criminal trespass. Got a year of probation, a fine, and a restraining order keeping him 500 feet from my property. My parents didn't attend the hearing, neither did Jess. Ethan showed up with a public defender and accepted the plea deal. Looked miserable the whole time. The baby was born 3 weeks ago. I know because my aunt texted me a photo. She's the only family member still talking to me. She said Jess and Ethan are still in my parents' basement. Money's tight. Ethan lost his vape shop job because of the criminal record. He's doing food delivery now. Jess is on maternity leave from the salon, but might not go back because childcare costs more than she makes. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true. I caught my fiancée at 2 a.m., texting her ex, "I miss you so much. Wish we could be together," while she laid next to me in bed. I took a photo of her screen, then went back to sleep. By morning, I'd sent that photo to her parents, her sister, and every wedding vendor we'd booked. All right, Reddit, buckle up because this one still feels surreal even now. My buddy keeps telling me I need to write this down before I forget the details. And honestly, getting it out might help me process everything. This happened about 2 months ago, and I'm still unpacking it all. Here's the full story. I'm a 31-year-old guy living in Columbus, Ohio. Work as an operations supervisor at a distribution center for a regional grocery chain. Not glamorous, but I've been there 7 years now and worked my way up from the floor. Started loading trucks at 19, got promoted to shift lead at 23, then supervisor at 27. The job pays decent, benefits are solid, and I actually like my team. We move product, hit our numbers, and I get to solve problems all day. Keeps my brain busy. I bought my first house 3 years ago. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom ranch in a decent neighborhood on the east side of Columbus. Previous owner was this old guy named Walter, who'd lived there 40 years and kept everything maintained like his life depended on it. Foundation solid, roof only 5 years old, HVAC system practically new. The guy had receipts for every repair going back to 1998, organized in labeled folders. I got lucky with the timing, too. Bought right before prices went nuts. My mortgage is less than most people pay in rent for a 1-bedroom apartment downtown. The house became my project. I spent weekends refinishing the hardwood floors that Walter had kept covered with carpet for decades. Updated the kitchen cabinets myself, watched probably 50 YouTube videos before I felt confident enough to start. Built a deck out back, 12 by 16 feet. Took me 3 weekends, but it's level and solid. My dad's a plumber, so I grew up around tools and know my way around basic repairs, but carpentry was new territory. Made plenty of mistakes, had to redo the deck railing twice. But the place looks good now. My truck is a 2018 Silverado, paid off last year. Not a car guy exactly, but I like having something reliable that can haul stuff when I need it. I met Jenna at my cousin's wedding 4 years ago. She was there as a +1 for some coworker of the bride that I didn't know. We ended up at the same table during dinner, started talking about the weird centerpieces the bride had chosen, and didn't stop talking until the venue kicked everyone out at midnight. She was 28, worked as an event coordinator at a hotel downtown, had this energy that just pulled you in. Smart, funny, gorgeous. Way out of my league, I thought. Jenna had this way of making you feel like the most interesting person in the room. She'd ask questions and actually listen to the answers, remember details, bring them up later. That first night, I told her about my job, expecting the usual glazed-over look I got from most women when I mentioned warehouse work. Instead, she asked follow-up questions. What's the most challenging part? How do you motivate your team? Nobody had ever treated my career like it was worthy of curiosity before. She gave me her number before we left. Said she wanted to see me again. I figured she was being polite, the way people are at weddings when everyone's feeling sentimental and connected. But I texted her anyway 3 days later because I didn't want to seem desperate. We went to dinner that Friday, then coffee that Sunday, then dinner again Wednesday. Within a month, we were basically inseparable. Jenna was different from anyone I'd dated before. I'd had a few relationships in my 20s, nothing serious, mostly women who seemed disappointed that I wasn't more ambitious. One ex literally told me I had no drive because I was content supervising a warehouse instead of climbing some corporate ladder. Another kept suggesting I go back to school, get a business degree, do something more with my life. Like what I was doing wasn't enough. But Jenna said she liked that I was grounded. Said too many guys she dated were all talk about their big plans and startup ideas while living in their parents' basements and borrowing money for dates. I had a house, a career, a truck that was paid off. I wasn't flashy, but I was stable. She called it refreshing. She moved in after a year. It made sense. She was at my place most nights anyway, and her apartment lease was up. We split everything down the middle, kept our finances separate but fair. I liked having her there. The house felt less empty, more like a home. We'd cook dinner together most nights, watch movies on the couch, talk about our days. Normal relationship stuff that I'd never really had before. It felt easy. Her parents lived about an hour away in a smaller town outside Cincinnati. Her dad, Frank, was a retired cop, old school, didn't say much but noticed everything. The kind of guy who'd shake your hand and somehow know your entire life story from the grip. Her mom, Diane, was the opposite, talked constantly, always asking questions, always involved in everyone's business. Classic extrovert married to classic introvert. I learned early on that Diane's approval was everything. If she didn't like you, your relationship with Jenna had an expiration date. Jenna's previous boyfriend had lasted exactly 4 months after Diane decided he was too arrogant. She'd worn him down with passive-aggressive comments and pointed questions until he cracked. Jenna warned me about this before I met them. Said just be yourself, but also be ready for the interrogation. Lucky for me, Diane loved me from day one. First visit to their house, I noticed Frank struggling with the garage door opener, some electrical issue that was making it run rough. Offered to take a look, ended up rewiring a connection that had come loose over the years. Fixed it in 20 minutes. Frank barely said thank you, but the next day Diane called Jenna and said that one's a keeper. Apparently that sealed the deal. After that, Diane started calling me her future son-in-law, before Jenna and I had even discussed marriage. She'd text me recipes she thought I'd like, send me articles about home improvement projects, ask my opinion on everything from what car Frank should buy to what color they should paint the living room. I was part of the family before I'd even proposed. Jenna's younger sister Megan was cooler about the whole thing. She was 25, worked as a nurse at a hospital in Cincinnati, had this dry sense of humor that cracked me up. We'd gang up on Jenna during family dinners, teasing her about her obsession with true crime podcasts or her inability to parallel park. Megan and I developed this sibling dynamic even though we weren't related. She'd text me memes at random hours, ask for advice about guys she was dating, tell me when Jenna was being dramatic about something so I could be prepared. I proposed in October, 2 years into the relationship. Nothing crazy, just a nice dinner at her favorite Italian restaurant downtown, followed by a walk through Schiller Park where we'd had our first real date. I got down on one knee under the same tree where I'd first told her I loved her, right as the sun was setting. She cried, said yes, the whole movie moment thing. I'd saved for 6 months for that ring. Went to 4 different jewelers, learned more about diamonds than I ever wanted to know. Cut, clarity, color, carat. Ended up spending almost $8,000 on a princess cut diamond that sparkled like crazy in any light. It was more than I'd ever spent on anything except my truck, but watching her show it off to everyone felt worth it. The wedding planning started immediately. Jenna was in her element. This was literally her job, coordinating events at a hotel, so she attacked our wedding with military precision. She had spreadsheets within a week, timelines, budgets, vendor comparison charts. I'd never seen anyone so organized about anything. Venue locked down by November, a restored barn about 40 minutes outside the city that could hold 150 people. Caterer by December, photographer by January. Every vendor vetted, every contract negotiated, every detail planned down to the napkin colors. My role was mostly nodding and writing checks. I didn't mind. She knew what she wanted, and I trusted her taste. My only real input was the food. I insisted on actual portions. None of that fancy tiny plate tasting menu stuff, where you leave hungry and hit a drive-thru on the way home. She rolled her eyes but agreed. We set the date for late June. Perfect weather, not too hot yet, and it gave us 8 months to plan everything. Invitations went out in April. RSVPs started rolling in. My parents threw us an engagement party in March. Her parents hosted one in April at a country club, fancier and more stressful, but we survived. Everything was on track. 8 months of planning, thousands of dollars in deposits, 127 confirmed guests. We were 6 weeks out from the wedding when everything fell apart. Looking back, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Around February, Jenna started mentioning this guy named Bryce. Old college boyfriend, apparently. They'd dated for 2 years back when she was at Ohio State. Broke up because he moved to Denver for some job, and she didn't want to do long distance. Ancient history, she said. They'd reconnected on social media recently, just friendly catching up. At first, I didn't think anything of it. People reconnect with exes all the time. She mentioned grabbing coffee with him when he was in town for work once. I said, okay, have fun. Didn't even occur to me to be worried. I'm not a jealous guy. But then Bryce kept coming up in conversation. Bryce thinks I should travel more. Bryce says Columbus is underrated. Bryce has this great story about hiking in Colorado. Bryce started this amazing company. Bryce knows all the best restaurants in Denver. Every conversation somehow circled back to something Bryce said, or did, or thought. It was like she couldn't go 5 minutes without mentioning him. I brought it up once, kind of joking. You talk about this guy a lot. She got defensive immediately. He's just a friend. We have history, that's all. I'm allowed to have friends, aren't I? I backed off. Didn't want to be that guy. The jealous, controlling boyfriend who couldn't handle his girl having male friends. That's not who I am. March, she had a conference in Denver for work. Hotel industry thing. Happens every year. Big networking event. Seminars about hospitality trends, all that stuff. She'd gone the year before too, no big deal. Came back with swag bags and business cards and stories about boring keynote speakers. This time, though, she was weird about it. Kept mentioning how busy she'd be, how the schedule was packed wall to wall, how she probably wouldn't have much time to talk. Seemed almost nervous about going. The conference was 3 days. We barely spoke the whole time. She'd text good morning and good night, but that was it. When I called, she was always just about to go into a session or just got out of dinner with colleagues. The hotel Wi-Fi was supposedly terrible, so video calls were out of the question. Every time I tried to have an actual conversation, she had somewhere to be. She came back different. I can't explain it exactly. Just distant, distracted. She'd be on her phone constantly, smiling at her screen, then putting it away quickly when I walked into the room. When I asked what she was looking at, it was always nothing. Just work stuff. Just scrolling. The wedding planning continued, but her enthusiasm was gone. Decisions she would have agonized over for days, she now just shrugged at. Whatever you think is fine. I don't care. Just pick one. You decide. I chalked it up to wedding stress. Everyone says planning a wedding is exhausting, especially when you do it yourself instead of hiring a planner. But something was off. I could feel it. That connection we'd had, that easy comfort was gone, replaced by something polite and hollow. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in late April. I'd worked a long shift, 12 hours, because someone called in sick and we had a major shipment going out. Came home around 8, exhausted, ate leftover pizza standing at the kitchen counter, watched some random show with Jenna on the couch. Normal night. We went to bed around 11. I fell asleep fast, tired from the day. I woke up around 2 a.m., needing to use the bathroom. Got up, did my thing, came back to bed. Jenna was still awake, which wasn't unusual. She'd always been a night owl, staying up late scrolling her phone or watching videos with headphones in while I slept. But something was different this time. The way she was looking at her phone screen. This soft smile. Intimate. Almost dreamy. Like she was having a private moment with whoever was on the other end. I hadn't seen that smile directed at me in months. Maybe longer. It used to be she'd look at me like that when we first started dating. Back when everything was new and exciting. Now she was giving that look to her phone at 2 a.m. while I lay right next to her. I got back in bed, turned toward her. She was so absorbed in whatever she was doing that she didn't even notice me watching. Her screen was visible from my angle, bright in the dark room. The contact at the top of the conversation just showed a purple heart emoji. Not a name, just an emoji. I watched her type. Miss you so much. Wish we could be together. Can't stop thinking about that weekend. You make me feel things I'd forgotten existed. My stomach dropped. His response came through almost immediately. I know, baby. Soon. Just be patient. Once everything settles down, we can make this work. She typed back. Being here is torture when my heart is with you. This wedding feels like the world's longest prison sentence. I lay there frozen. 3 years together. Engaged 8 months. Wedding 6 weeks away. Invitations mailed, deposits paid, tuxedo fitted, honeymoon booked. My parents had just thrown us a party. Her parents had just thrown us a party. 127 people had already bought plane tickets and reserved hotel rooms. And she was texting another guy at 2 a.m., in our bed, 3 feet away from me, saying that marrying me felt like a prison sentence. Something weird happened in my brain. I expected rage. I expected hurt, devastation, the kind of emotional collapse you see in movies. Instead, I got this cold clarity. Like someone flipped a switch and all the emotion just drained out. Pure logic took over. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand, moved slowly, carefully. She was still absorbed in her conversation, thumbs flying across her keyboard. I opened the camera, made sure the flash was off, held it steady, took a photo of her screen showing the messages. Clear shot, you could read every word. Then another photo as she scrolled up, revealing more of the conversation. Older messages, going back days, maybe weeks. More I miss you, and I wish things were different, and soon. Baby, soon. She never looked up, too absorbed in her little chat with purple heart emoji guy. I set my phone down on the nightstand, turned away from her, stared at the wall. My mind was already working, planning, making lists. The cold clarity was almost peaceful in a way. No anxiety, no second guessing, just acceptance of what needed to happen. About 10 minutes later, she finally put her phone away, leaned over and kissed my shoulder. Love you, she whispered into the darkness. I didn't say anything, pretended to be asleep. She texted a bit more. I could hear the phone buzzing against the sheets, then finally dozed off around 3 a.m. I didn't sleep, just lay there thinking, running through scenarios, weighing options, around 5 a.m. And when I was sure she was deep asleep from the rhythm of her breathing, I grabbed my phone and went into the bathroom, closed the door softly, sat on the edge of the tub, opened my email app. First email went to her parents. Subject line, wedding canceled. Body kept it simple. Found the attached on her phone last night. We're done. Sorry you had to find out this way. Attached the clearest photo. The one where you could read every word of her prison sentence comment. Sent. Second email to her sister Megan. Same photo, same brief message. She deserved to know. Third, to the wedding venue. Professional tone. Need to cancel the ceremony scheduled for June 24th. Please process per the contract terms regarding cancellation. Documentation of cause attached. I knew they had an infidelity clause because Jenna had laughed about it when we signed the contract. Who even needs that, she'd said. Some people, apparently. Then the photographer, the caterer, the florist, the DJ, the cake baker. Every single vendor we'd booked over the past 8 months. Professional emails explaining the cancellation, attaching the evidence so nobody could claim I was backing out without cause. Then, my best man Jason, who'd already bought his plane ticket from Phoenix and booked his hotel room. Then my parents. Then her extended family members whose emails I had from the engagement party planning. Everyone who needed to know got the information simultaneously. No warning, no chance for spin control, no opportunity for her to get ahead of the story with some sanitized version of events. I forwarded everything to my personal email as backup, uploaded the photos to 3 different cloud storage services, screenshotted all the sent emails with timestamps, documentation of everything. By 6 a.m., I was done, climbed back into bed, actually managed to sleep a couple hours. The weird thing about that cold clarity is it's almost peaceful. Like once you accept the worst has happened, there's nothing left to worry about. Woke up around 8:30 to both our phones exploding simultaneously. Calls, texts, notifications going crazy. The kind of phone activity that only happens when something major went down. Jenna grabbed her phone, groggy and confused, saw her mom calling, then her sister, then her dad, then her mom again. "What's going on?" she answered, voice rough from sleep. "Mom, what's wrong?" I got up and started getting dressed. Heard her on the phone through the bathroom door. "What? What photo?" "I don't know what you're talking about." Long pause. "Mom, no, it's not. Let me explain. It's not what it looks like, Mom." She came running into the bathroom where I was brushing my teeth, phone still pressed to her ear. Her face was sheet white. "What did you do?" she hissed at me. "What did you send them?" I spit out toothpaste. "Screenshots of your conversation with Purple Heart emoji guy. The one you miss so much. The one who makes you feel alive. You went through my phone? Didn't need to. You were having your little chat right next to me, screen facing me the whole time. I just documented what I saw. It wasn't... That's not fair. You can't just... You called our wedding a prison sentence, Jenna." She froze. "Yeah, I saw that part too. I was venting. That's all. It didn't mean anything. You told him your heart is with him. I was being dramatic. It was 2 a.m. I was tired. I was stressed about wedding stuff. I didn't mean... In our bed, 3 feet away from me, planning your future with him. Once things settle down, please just let me explain everything. It's not what you think." My phone rang. My mom. I answered, keeping my voice calm. "Sweetheart, what's happening?" Her mother just called me hysterical. "Wedding's off. She's been texting her ex. I found out last night." "Oh, honey, are you okay?" "Will be. I'll call you later." Hung up. Jenna was full-on crying now. Makeup from yesterday running down her face. "Please, we need to talk about this. You can't just blow up our entire relationship over some texts. Forward me the whole conversation right now. Everything between you two." "What?" "Your phone. Show me every message with him. If it's so innocent, prove it." She clutched her phone like it was a lifeline. "That's private. You texted him in my bed. You lost privacy rights about 4 hours ago. Show me, or I'm leaving right now." She didn't move, just stood there, clutching that phone, tears streaming. That's what I thought. I grabbed my laptop bag and keys from the bedroom. "Where are you going?" "Anywhere, but here. We have to talk about this. You should have talked before you started planning your future with another guy. We're done. You can't just leave." I walked past her toward the front door. "You're going to regret this. You're throwing away 3 years over nothing." I turned back. Nothing. "Right. Tell me, Jenna, what weekend were you two reminiscing about? The one you can't stop thinking about?" Her face went pale again. "Yeah. Thought so. Bye." I left. Stayed at my buddy Jason's place. He'd canceled his Phoenix flight the second he got my email. Didn't even wait to hear the details. Just said I'm coming and caught the first flight out. Good dude like that. Known him since high school. Been through plenty of rough patches together. He didn't ask questions when I showed up at his door with a duffel bag. Just handed me a spare key and said, "Stay as long as you need." The phone calls from Jenna started immediately and didn't stop. Probably 60 times over the next 3 days. Her texts went from begging to angry to begging again. The classic cycle. "Please talk to me. I can explain everything." Then fine, ignore me, see if I care. "You're making a huge mistake." Then "I'm so sorry. Please just let me explain. I love you." I didn't respond to any of it. Nothing to say. She showed up at my work twice. First time, I saw her car in the parking lot from the window and told security before she even made it inside. They escorted her out professionally, but firmly. Second time, she made it to the lobby, before someone recognized her from the first incident and called me. Security walked her out again. After that, HR sent her a formal no-contact notice explaining that further attempts would result in police involvement. Then her mother called. You humiliated my daughter, sending that photo to the entire family, to vendors, to people she has to work with professionally. That was cruel and unnecessary. Your daughter was planning a future with her ex while planning a wedding with me. What exactly was I supposed to do? Talk to her privately, like an adult. Work through it together. Not air dirty laundry to everyone we know. She lost the right to privacy when she texted another man that marrying me felt like prison. In our bed, while I was right next to her. Every bride gets cold feet. It's completely normal. You're overreacting to something all couples go through. Cold feet don't involve telling your ex you wish you could be together. Cold feet don't involve making plans for after things settle down. It was just texts. Nothing physical even happened. How do you know? Silence on the other end. That's what I thought. We're done. Don't call me again. I hung up. Her sister Megan called the next day. She was calmer, more reasonable. Look, I'm not defending what she did. It's messed up. But she's completely falling apart. She says nothing physical happened, that it was just an emotional thing that got out of hand. Did she show you the full conversation? No. She said I'd misunderstand the context if I saw it all. Of course she did. Want me to forward the screenshots? All of them? Pause. Yeah. Actually, I sent them all. Every photo I'd taken. Every message I'd documented. She called back 20 minutes later. Her voice was different. Oh, wow. This is way worse than she told us. She's been telling everyone you overreacted to some innocent, friendly catch-up texts. But she literally called the wedding a prison sentence. She literally said her heart is with him, and they were making plans for after things settle down. What does that even mean? It means she was waiting for the wedding to be over, so she could leave me for him. This is really bad. I had no idea it was this bad. Now you do. I'm so sorry. She's my sister and I love her, but this is seriously messed up. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate you being honest. What about all the deposits? The venue and everything? Most of them are non-refundable. I'm eating probably 12 grand total between the venue, the caterer, the photographer deposit, the florist. The venue has an infidelity clause in the contract, though, so I might get some of that back with the documentation I have. That's something at least. Yeah. 2 days later, Jenna's dad Frank called. This surprised me. Frank barely talked during normal family gatherings, so a phone call meant something serious. I'm going to be direct with you, son. Not going to waste your time or mine. Okay, my daughter made a mistake. A big one. I'm not going to pretend otherwise or make excuses for her. But this public humiliation route you went, sending that photo to everyone, that's going to follow her professionally for years. Event planning is a small industry. People talk. She humiliated herself. I just made sure people knew the truth instead of whatever story she was planning to tell. Long pause. What would it take to make this go away quietly? I'll cover your losses. All the deposits, everything you're out, plus some extra for the trouble. You're trying to buy my silence? I'm trying to protect my daughter's future from something she'll regret for the rest of her life. She should have thought about her future before she did what she did. I'm offering $15,000, cash, tonight if you want it. Just sign something saying you won't pursue any legal action, and we all move on quietly. Legal action for what? Some vendors are asking about the cancellation reason. Invoking infidelity clauses could affect her ability to book venues in the future. Her reputation matters in her field. That's not my problem. I'm asking as a favor. Father to the man who was almost my son-in-law, please take the money. Let this go quietly. Let her rebuild. I thought about it for a minute. Part of me wanted to tell him where to shove his money, but the practical part won out. $10,000. Not as a settlement, not as hush money. As reimbursement for my actual documented losses. I'll sign something saying we've settled the financial side of things, but I'm not lying to vendors if they ask. They ask why we canceled. I'm telling the truth. Long pause. That's fair. I'll have something drawn up. And Frank? Yeah? Your daughter's problems aren't going to be solved by you throwing money at them. She needs to figure out why she did what she did. That's on her. He didn't respond. Just hung up. The check came a week later with a simple settlement agreement. I signed it, deposited the money, used it to cover my actual losses. Still came out behind overall, but not as bad as I'd expected. Jenna tried one more direct approach about a week after the conversation with her dad. Showed up at Jason's apartment when she knew I'd be there alone. I just need 5 minutes. Please. That's all I'm asking. I stood in the doorway. Didn't let her in. Talk. I made a mistake. A huge one. I know that. I'm not going to stand here and pretend otherwise. But 3 years has to mean something. We were good together. We built something real. We can get past this if you give me a chance to explain. You told him marrying me was a prison sentence. I was confused. scared. The wedding was getting so real and I panicked. Bryce was familiar. He was from before everything got so adult and complicated. I wasn't thinking clearly. So you had an emotional affair because you got cold feet? When you put it like that, it sounds… How should I put it? I don't know. I just… I miss you. I miss us. I miss what we had. There is no us. There's me, and there's you, and there's whatever you were building with Bryce while wearing my ring. I'm not a backup plan, Jenna. I'm not the safe choice you settle for while your heart is somewhere else. You were never a backup plan. Could have fooled me. She started crying. I know I have no right to ask this, but can you forgive me? Eventually? Someday? Probably. Forgiveness is for me, not for you. Holding on to anger doesn't hurt anyone but me, but I'll never trust you again. Ever. Every late-night text would make me wonder. Every work trip would make me paranoid. Every time you were distant or distracted, I'd be waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's not a relationship. That's a slow-motion anxiety attack. I would spend the rest of my life proving you could trust me. No, you'd spend the rest of your life hiding things better. I saw how easily you lied, Jenna. In our bed, 6 inches away from me, without even flinching. That's who you are underneath. I just didn't see it until now. That's not fair. Life's not fair. Go home. When you're alone and miserable, remember you're the one who gave up on us. And when you're explaining to your next boyfriend why your last engagement ended, remember you texted your ex that marrying me was a prison sentence. Good luck with that conversation. She left. Came back an hour later with her mom. Jason answered the door. Nope, he doesn't want to see you. Her mom. Diane pushed past him into the living room. We're not leaving until he comes out here and explains himself. I came out from the back room. Both of you need to go. Now. You destroyed my daughter's reputation. Everyone she knows thinks she's some kind of cheater. She is a cheater, Diane. Some texts don't make someone a cheater. That's not how it works. Actually, emotional affairs are still affairs. The betrayal is the same even if the clothes stayed on. Nothing physical happened. She swore to me. You sure about that? I looked at Jenna. What about that weekend you mentioned in your texts? The one you can't stop thinking about? The one where he made you feel things you'd forgotten existed? Want to tell your mom about that? Her face went white. Diane turned to her daughter. Expression shifting. What weekend? Nothing. We just ran into each other at a conference. Had dinner, caught up. Which conference? She didn't answer. The Denver conference. 2 months ago. The one you went to alone. Where the Wi-Fi was supposedly so bad we barely talked for 3 days. Her mom's expression changed completely. Suspicion replacing the defensive anger. Did something happen at that conference? No. Mom, we just talked. You're lying. You told him in those texts that you think about that weekend constantly, that he makes you feel alive. That wasn't just dinner and conversation. The tears started flowing again. We kissed. That's it. Once. One kiss. It didn't mean anything. Her mom looked like someone had punched her in the stomach. Finally. Some truth. You physically cheated on your fiancé 2 months before your wedding. It was just a kiss, Mom. You're still lying. But honestly, I don't care anymore. I've heard enough. Both of you, get out of my friend's house. Now. Before I call the cops. Her mom was staring at her daughter like she'd never seen her before. You told me nothing happened at that conference. You looked me in the eye and swore nothing happened. Mom, it was just… You looked me in the eye. It didn't mean… Not really. Get out. Both of you. Now. They left, but Diane turned back at the door. One last attempt. You're making a huge mistake walking away from her. She's a catch. If your husband was texting another woman the way your daughter texted her ex, would you call it nothing? Would you tell him to just get over it? She didn't answer, just turned and walked away. That night, Bryce found me on social media. Purple Heart Guy himself. Sent me a direct message like we were going to have some kind of man-to-man conversation. Hey man, this is awkward, but I wanted to reach out. What happened with Jenna and me wasn't planned. We have real history together. Sometimes feelings don't just go away, because time passes. She's torn up about hurting you, but she's confused about what she wants, about what she really needs. Maybe it's better this happened now, before the wedding, before things got more complicated. Sorry you got caught up in this. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I replied, You're not sorry I got hurt. You're sorry you got caught. You were actively planning a future with an engaged woman, counting down the days until things settled down so you could have her. Don't pretend you're some innocent bystander who accidentally fell into this situation. You knew exactly what you were doing. Lose my number. Blocked him immediately. Couple days later, got a long email from Jenna. Pages and pages of apologies and explanations and justifications. Most of it was the same stuff she'd already said in person. But buried in there was this gem. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and realized I have deep commitment issues that probably come from watching my parents' marriage struggle when I was younger. I self-sabotage good things when I get scared of losing them. This wasn't about you not being enough. You were always enough. I was the broken one. But I'm working on myself now. Reading books, journaling, really examining my patterns. If you could give me time to work through this and become a better person, maybe we could try again someday. I deleted it without responding. A few weeks passed. She tried another approach, started sending mutual friends to talk to me. Every few days, someone would reach out on her behalf. Hey man, I know things are rough, but Jenna's really struggling. She's changed. She's learned her lesson. Maybe you guys could just talk? Every one of them got the same response. I appreciate you caring enough to reach out, but there's nothing to discuss. She made her choice. I made mine. She started showing up at places she knew I'd be. The gym I went to, the grocery store near my house, a restaurant I liked for lunch on weekends. Each time I'd see her, turn around without a word, and leave. Not dramatic, not confrontational. Just gone. Final attempt came about a month ago. Handwritten letter delivered to my actual house. 10 pages, front and back, in her handwriting. Long, emotional, clearly took her hours to write. Basic message: she'd ended things completely with Bryce, had been doing serious self-reflection, had worked on herself, understood now why she'd done what she did, wanted another chance to prove she could be the partner I deserved. I read it once, then tossed it. Her sister Megan called a few days later. Did you get her letter? Yeah. And? Not interested. She's really changed. This whole thing broke her in a way I've never seen. She's done real work on herself. I've watched it happen. Good for her. She should keep working on herself. With someone else. You won't even consider giving her another chance? Never. I'll never trust her again. That door is closed permanently. So 3 years together mean nothing? 3 years mean nothing compared to a lifetime of paranoia? It wasn't one mistake, Megan. It was months of texting behind my back, an emotional affair that she hid and lied about, a physical affair at that conference, because I guarantee it was way more than just a kiss. It was lying to my face repeatedly while wearing my ring and planning a wedding with me. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern of choices she made every single day. She's paying for what she did. Trust me. Lost most of her friends. Her reputation in the industry is basically destroyed. She can't even mention the engagement without people judging her. Natural consequences of natural actions. You sound cold. I'm not cold. I'm just done being manipulated. Done being the understanding guy who gives second chances and gets burned for. Done being anyone's backup plan. Fair enough. Last I heard, she moved out of state about 3 weeks ago. Fresh start somewhere, nobody knows her history. Bryce apparently ghosted her completely once things got complicated. Shocker. Guys who chase engaged women aren't exactly known for their follow-through. Here's the karma, though. About 2 weeks after she moved, Megan texted me out of the blue. Thought you'd want to know. Bryce got engaged to someone else. Posted it on Instagram. Jenna saw it and completely lost it. Called him, he blocked her. Called from her mom's phone, his fiancé answered. Whole thing blew up. So let me get this straight. Jenna threw away our 3-year relationship, our wedding, her reputation, her career connections, all for a guy who was apparently juggling multiple women the entire time. The same guy who told her to be patient while things settled down was settling down with someone else entirely. You can't make this stuff up. This stuff? Megan sent me the screenshot of his engagement announcement. The caption said something about finding his soulmate. Posted 3 weeks after Jenna moved across the country, hoping to be with him. I actually laughed out loud when I saw it. Not because I'm petty, but because the irony was just too perfect. Sold the engagement ring last month. Jeweler gave me 40% of what I paid. Walked out of there with a check for about $3 grand. Used that money for a solo trip out west. Drove through 4 national parks. Camped under the stars. Didn't look at my phone for days at a time. First real peace I'd felt in months. Canceled the apartment lease we'd signed together for after the wedding. Ate the deposit, didn't care. Stayed in my house. My mortgage, my space, my rules. Ran into Diane at the grocery store a couple weeks back. She was in the produce section. I was grabbing stuff for dinner. We made eye contact. She looked older than I remembered, tired. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then just gave me this sad little nod and walked away. I finished my shopping and left through a different exit. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.